Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 421. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Mike Sneedy.
What's up?
Corey Feinsod.
Yo.
And Tony Korkanakis.
Hello.
What's up, guys? Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers, to episode 421 of the Gamecast. Going to start this off with the sad news of Stan Lee's passing earlier in the week. Marvel, basic creator of Marvel, and all these great superheroes. If you didn't listen to the movie cast, I'm just mentioning it on here. Please listen to that episode. It's, we talked about our favorite cameos from Stan Lee, who he was as a character to us, a figure to us, and our most memorable moments from him and what he's, what he means, to us. So, so check that out, please. And this episode, we're going to go over, because we didn't want to do Stan Lee cameos, because there's a lot of Spider-Man games there, we decided to do our top 5 Marvel video games. So we'll be going through that. Do you want to kick it off with what we've been up to, I guess, right?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Big shock. I have not given up on the game. I'm not out of Chapter 4 yet, but I've had more problems with the game, if that helps. I've been much more frustrated with the game.
That's what happens at that point in the game, huh?
Yeah. So I avoided a lot of, I guess because I stuck to a lot of the story missions, and I don't go out and explore the world that much. Not that I haven't enjoyed the world. I feel like I'm enjoying the world. Apparently not as much as everybody else, but I enjoy the world that they gave me. I just enjoy it while enjoying the story. And so I now am running into problems where I am running into people. And I'm becoming a criminal quite easily. And apparently these issues show up earlier in the game, to where you're supposed to get better at riding your horse, and I never ran into these problems. So it's like I'm not better, and I'm in a place that has a lot of people, and I don't want to not have my horse because the freaking character moves so goddamn slow that you can't move around a town without a freaking horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Have you had your horse stranded somewhere yet?
No, the game started that way for me. I had it right away in the beginning of the game. Okay. So I had to run back to camp by myself because I didn't want to steal a horse. So I ran all the way back to camp in the beginning of this game, Red Dead Redemption 2. I ran all the way back to camp because I didn't want to steal a horse. And
you probably should have stolen a horse.
Yeah, I know. In hindsight,
there's not a lot of punishment for just that.
No, I know. In hindsight, I should have done that, but. So I don't want to. We talked about the game like crazy, so I'm not going to get into it too much. But I think the game is great. It's not, in my opinion, a game of the year thing for me at all. I think that the other two games I played this year, that big games that I played this year, are better, more tight games and more now games than what Red Dead Redemption 2 is. Red Dead Redemption 2 may be great if it launched with these consoles, or if it came out at the end of the generation last generation. But it seems very antiquated in its systems, its gameplay. It went backwards on things I found out that they've apparently had in San Andreas that they learned didn't work. They put it back into this game, like eating and stuff like that people just don't, that part of gaming you don't want in a game, most people. And so it's like, why put that back in here? And they went backwards with this. So, I don't think the game is terrible. I'm still at an 8.85 with the game at the most for me. So, and I think, I don't know how, Mike, did you get into this more? Is that what you've been playing?
I did get into it more because I finished the main story of The Witcher's Blood and Wine.
That's right. So how was that?
It was good. And I've always made this argument that like there's quality and quantity aren't mutually exclusive. Mm-hmm. And because there's so much of like pretty good in Witcher, that's why I think people think it's great.
Yeah,
but there's so much of it, but there's so much pretty good. It can elevate it to great, and I feel real good about that game after that, knowing that I can still actually go back and do a bunch of stuff, even though I spent like a good 3 months playing this game on and off. And so I feel good about that. And I mean, it might have just through pure quantity, the quality really doesn't get a whole lot better, but it gets up to like an 8.5 in my eyes, at least.
Okay.
Also, and then there's the contrast, because then I go to Red Dead, and the world is just not as fun. Now it's getting a little better now that I'm further in. I'm early in chapter 3. Just to give you an idea, if you're further than that, and I mean the story missions are where it's at mostly.
Sure.
There's a few incentives to explore, but normally the risk and reward doesn't seem right.
So
it just doesn't seem right because you can
you
lose your horse or kill yourself, and
yeah, I mean that was what Tony had said last week. I mean, the game doesn't reward you for actually taking these chances. Like, why do it? The only thing that's going to happen is negative. I mean, I think that's exactly what you said, quoting Tony right there.
Yeah.
But like that reminded me of oh shoot, now I completely lost my train of thought. What was to do with the camp? But go on. I mean, hopefully I remember. Go on.
But I see if these characters become more likable. They're still mostly just douches.
Sure.
That I'm supposed to. I guess there's like a couple like real nice guys I'm supposed to like in this, but I guess we'll get there as the time goes on. Because right now, if like everyone got slaughtered, I wouldn't really care that much.
I don't find myself attached to my camp that much, except for maybe Lenny.
It was pretty awesome.
I like Lenny and Jose. I think his name is Hosea.
The old dude, yeah.
Hosea, yeah. I
Yeah,
like
right.
those
Okay.
characters. Yeah.
They're the characters who I can tell are meant to be the good guys. That like oh, these are the upstanding guys in this gang of thief murderer people.
See, there's a couple of them I just wanted to shoot. I was just like, please leave me alone.
But what's funny about it too is like I want to antagonize them all the time, and then they get all so butthurt and don't talk to you anymore. I'm like, come on, you have to have thicker skin than this. And like you guys are like just assholes, and you're gonna be upset that I call you like a drunk like bum pretty much, and they're like, man, why are you riding me? I'm like, come on, dude. And like and then if you're like press the like be nice button, I don't remember
The greet button.
yeah, he says more or less the same thing anyway.
Sure.
And they're like, yeah, all right. I'm like, why do you go?
That reminds me of
man.
this reminds me. Yes, it is. The intent. It's the inference of the tone. This reminds me of the illusion of the open world. So I basically had was on a mission with somebody, and I had a second mission with me. I'm like, well, I knew where I was going, and I'm like, well, I have this little side thing I can do real quick and take care of it because we're out here this way. So I'm like, let me just go take care of that while we're waiting for this stupid wagon thing to show up. So I'm like, I rode up, and as I was riding, the game made me fail the mission because I went too far away from the other person.
Yeah. There's always conflicts like that. Like if you meet a stranger while you're on a mission, like what do you do? Or I don't know. But
yeah. So I didn't know I could fail a mission like that. I found that out the hard way, I guess. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So
I'm trying to remember how much it charges you for dying, if it's better than like paying a bounty or dying, because those are like the best options.
It's like $14.
Yeah, so it's normally better to die.
Yeah, that's why I usually do that. Just so you know, I just don't pay the bounty. I just get killed.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's some silly systems and like even balancing to make you prioritize things stupidly. I think you should want to survive those encounters before killing yourself, so you don't have to pay that much.
Well, right, and that's one of the things is because there was one time where I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna kill these marshals then, like fuck you. But like the bounty just kept going up and up every single time I killed one of them, and they just kept coming. I'm just like,
yeah,
okay, so I'm just I can't get out of this situation. Like it's just you're gonna raise my bounty so high until like, and I'm just gonna die anyway because I can't take on all these dudes.
See.
Yeah.
So dumb.
For a second, I had the strategy of leaving a bounty on me because when bounty hunters come, you can kill them and it doesn't really matter. And then I'm like, oh, cool, I can loot them and stuff. But then one time, or the last 2 times, then the law like found me immediately, and I shot a lawman thinking it was a bounty hunter, and then my bounty goes up and all hell breaks loose.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
there's a lot of stuff in there where you're just like, why did they do this?
Is this what they want me to struggle with? Like, is this intentional that I'm supposed to think about like, oh, I like having a bounty because it's just a stream of like resources, but I don't want to hit a lawman when I'm killing the bounty hunters. Like, I don't think that's what they were looking for. But that's kind of like what I'm thinking about in this game more often than not. Like, if I want to pay off a bounty or not, I don't know. I'm still confused about that because I can't. Yeah. It sends a lot of mixed messages with it. I think.
I had no idea even where to go to pay a bounty at first. I just stumbled across it. I was in mission and I'm like, oh,
of course.
Yeah. I went to the sheriff's office with the bounty in the town. That's what I did. I just walked in and I'm like, I think I have to pay here. And I'm like, nope, there's no option to pay. What the hell? There's no option to pay in the sheriff's office. So
I go to the post office.
yeah, they go to the post office. But anyways, anything else, Mike?
I mean, I can see like if I get it. I mean, I don't know if there is an it to get, but if there is an it to get where you like find an optimal way to like make exploring a good idea for you and like not be boring and take forever, then I could see like this game being like a fun time sink. But I'm still not there yet. I'm still just sort of.
I'm just ignoring that aspect. I'm not that I'm not exploring, but I'm not like going for pelts. I'm not doing any of that stuff.
No, I'm not doing that. There's only one thing I came across. I'm like, oh, I want to find the other ones of these. And if you came across it too, you would probably think that too. There's only one like side sort of thing. I'm like, interesting. Yeah. Everything else is just like, I don't need to find dinosaur bones, lady. Sorry.
No, I don't. Yeah. So, all right, Tony, what have you been up to?
Let's see. So I tried Red Dead Redemption 2 like another time, and I'm just like, you know what? I just really got to finish Chapter 2, and we'll see if the ending of that makes an impression on me. But I'm pretty close to just being like, I don't care for this game at all. Like, I respect it for its technical merits and a lot of things that it does with, motion capture, voice act, all that stuff, graphics.
Did you read somewhere that the horse balls are historically inaccurate because most of them are castrated when they are actually ridden?
No, I didn't read that, but it doesn't surprise me.
So happy they wasted the resources for that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, my overall feeling is just that there's times where it's what's that quote from Jurassic Park where it's like your scientists were so busy, wondering if they could or not,
if they should.
They think
right.
if
they should or not. I feel like this game is a perfect example of that because in a lot of ways, Rockstar and Take-Two can be looked at in terms of like, hey, you can aspire to be like this in certain ways, not the crunch way, but like, all these other ways. But then I'm thinking, man, like if all these other games start trying to do that, trying to get to this level, I don't know that I'd have fun with them. Again, just because like there's just some things where it's like I'm okay with this being a video game and it doesn't have to be a life simulator. So we'll see about that. But the other thing I got to do was, like I said, the last month, a League of Legends competitive happened, and just with everything that happened with the World Championship and like the K-pop music video they did for their characters, I was like super hyped and like reinvigorated for League of Legends. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can grind my way to the gold rank, which is about halfway through the ranking thing, but I think they consider it like top 30% in the world at that point, and something like that. So after 38 wins, and literally at the last, like 11th hour last night, I finally got it. Where it was just like, it was down to like 2 games, and I had to win at least one of the 2 games. I was like, all right, do or die, because if I lose both of them, I got knocked back down. It's going to take me hours, and I don't have the hours anymore. So I was like, it's pretty much this. And it's just like, unfortunately, sometimes you're just like, it's not so much how you do, it's how well or bad your teammates are doing. So like, I was just like, I started to get tilted because like some people were just being all over the map. I'm just like, well, this is it. Like, here's my run. It's over, guys. Like, it's all over. But I was like, you know what? Let's just keep calm and we'll just stay to the late game, and we managed to win. I was just like, we did it. So I was like pretty happy and pretty proud of myself because like this is the first time I've done it solo. Usually I've had to, partner up with some of my friends who are a little bit better than me and stuff like that. This is the first time I did it solo. So pretty excited about that.
Cool.
And we'll see if I can climb a little higher next year. So
cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
I need to add something.
Sure.
Sure.
I played very little of, but mostly watched a bit of Spyro Reignited.
Oh, nice.
Really? That's weird. Who in your were you
How many hours have been played of that?
I mean, it only came midnight last night, so about an hour and a half last night. It's being played right now, I think. It's interesting though, because this is obviously it really looks great though. They really like put a lot into the it's more than reskin. They really rebuilt it, but it's interesting because this is obviously my wife hasn't really played games too much since then, and she's not used to the right analog stick being the camera. She was like, why is the camera not following where I'm going? I'm like, you have to you have to do that. She's like, why do I have to do this? So to her, it's funny because it feels like a step backwards for her, which I didn't even think of. But
do they have like the original control scheme and stuff? Like,
no, not really. The closest the camera is still that. There is a more active camera that's closer, but it still lags behind. And then you can turn it with like triggers. Also, that's like the old school scheme. I'm not sure why, because the right analog stick is still controlling the camera because it didn't really exist back then. So she's played it a lot. I played a little. It does feel kind of cool to like glide around like that, and I didn't really realize how fast Spyro was as a character. Like he like runs fast. Like it felt better than I expected. But I did notice, and maybe this is part of everything that came out back then. There's a ridiculous difficulty spike. It goes from being like a total joke, like all the enemies are like completely laughable, to like these things that like home in on you, these like dogs that jump on you that like I can't even, I like die, like I burned her. She like died a few times, gave it to me. I'm like, all right, I should be able to do this, and I just died too. I'm like, well, fuck this, I can't. So and it went from like 0 to 60 like that. I'm like, okay.
Well, we expect Ashley to come on and give her full review.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's forming more opinions now. I think she's skipping to the second game because that's the one she remembers and likes more.
Okay.
We'll see.
It absolutely looks gorgeous for the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, these remakes. I wonder what other things like this will happen soon. I'm sure a bunch will.
Yeah. If anything, actually, I think it'll be interesting because I think this opens up a whole new world of possibilities just with like the N64 PS1 gen. Because like in my opinion, those games are like super rough to go back to. Those were awesome and amazing in the day, but like trying to play that stuff now, like I'm just like, I don't know, Chief, this ain't it.
I think Mario 64 holds up surprisingly.
No, Mario 64 is one of the
that's probably it though.
Yeah, like a lot of them is just like the frame rate. Like I love GoldenEye, but like even that, I'm just like,
I mean, the polygons, man. It's just like they didn't have enough polys to like make it look good.
Yeah, and it was, it's fine because they were super ambitious and stuff. But I think with the success of Crash and now Spyro, I think it'll the avenue for that. I know we kind of talked about it.
One day maybe we'll get Final Fantasy VII, and
I was actually going with a different. I was going with a different what I consider a PlayStation mascot, but I was wondering if you guys thought that Square Enix could make good by Lara Croft by like remaking like 1 through 3 like a remaster, where it's just like not like full blown, but like here you go, like play the games that you guys love.
I want to shoot dinosaurs with my pistols.
Yeah, exactly, stuff like that. Like I think that'd be a way to get Lara Croft to be popular because again the second and third games I don't think really did her too much justice.
They weren't like failures, but they weren't meeting expectations.
Yeah. But speaking of PlayStation, if we're moving on,
we're not done yet. Court, did you go?
No, I have nothing new to add other than Destiny. Destiny has new stuff again this week. So
yeah, their sales numbers have not been good.
Oh, yeah, you interrupted my segue, but we'll go here. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, what was your segue way better?
No, it was the PlayStation 1 class.
Yeah, the PlayStation 1 was where we were going with this, but we're going to take a detour into the DLC, into Destiny. Destiny's DLC. So Forsaken isn't performing as well as they hoped for.
Well, I mean, when you lose like 2/3 of your fan base,
that's clearly what happened. I mean, you mentioned this. You mentioned this before. Sorry, you mentioned this before, where it's like there wasn't enough enticement to new players, and while they have their core, the core shrunk, and then you still have your core, but you're not gaining.
I mean, there's more people playing now than ever, but that doesn't meet the expectations that they had.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So this news comes from the Activision Blizzard like investors call, they are giving their shareholders like financial information and saying, "Yep, Destiny 2 Forsaken or Destiny 2 overall." Just isn't meeting our expectations.
Does this hurt for Destiny 3?
Absolutely, yes, 100%.
And the other thing is, like, they stripped out a lot of the not pay for win, because there wasn't any pay for win stuff, but they stripped it out and made it much easier in Forsaken to get everything you wanted to get without having to pay a dime. Whereas the actual Destiny 2 release, it was much harder. You almost had to pay to get all the stuff you wanted. And so I think that also hurt them because they weren't making money the way they could have, with the microtransactions. But it also like bought them good favor because they didn't make it such a grind to get stuff.
Sure.
But that's going to affect them in the future because they don't have the money now.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where the day this was announced. So I mean, not to say it's just this game, but even Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which is doing crazy well, by any other metric, that's slightly missing their expectations too. So it just goes to show like how insane the big three, when you can get to the top 3 third-party publishers, like the expectations are ridiculous.
Right. You have to be at like a certain level, and if you're not meeting that level, it's a failure.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I think is funny because the expectations are so crazy that, like, I mentioned this when I heard this story because I heard right before this story that Destiny 2 earned more money in September than any other game on consoles. So they expect more, and I guess that's what they're budgeting for. So I don't know, but it's crazy to me. I think their expectations are a little overly optimistic in general, though, to be honest. Like, how many people do you think are going to jump onto every sort of paid expansion like
a lot?
Like that?
A lot, and I said,
probably looked at what Taken King did for Destiny 1, and then like, okay, well, we want to have similar numbers.
That was back when they thought they would be playing Destiny 1 for a decade.
No, I understand that, but that's what their expectations are, is that they're going to have these kinds of numbers going into this expansion.
Right. And even like, within the same company, Activision Blizzard, with World of Warcraft, anytime a new expansion comes out, like a super high ratio of active players like convert immediately to the new expansion. So, I imagine, again, not to say they didn't have high expectations, but this is what we're talking about when you get to the top 3,
Sure.
EA, Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft, you need these high numbers. Like, it's all about return on investment. I mean, they spent billions of dollars on the Destiny franchise, and if they don't make that money back, or they don't make enough to warrant it, like if you spend $1 billion and you make $1 billion and $1, yeah, you made a profit of $1. Like, is that really worth it? Or if you spent $50 million to make a game and it made $60 million, like that would have been a better return on investment. But that's just what it is. What I thought was interesting was the day this is announced, a lot of the people on Twitter and social media in general came out of the woodworks and just like gave these like little tidbits behind the relationship between Activision Blizzard and Bungie now. And that they're like, it was kind of strenuous from the first game, like even before the first game launched, because all those issues that the first game had. And like this just made it even worse. So it's just like now there's a lot of people being like anytime somebody mentioned Destiny 3, people just like ignored it completely. Like so we have like insiders like Jason Schreier, like some other people from Kotaku, some of the Reset Era people, like nobody wants to talk about Destiny 3 right now. I'm just like,
okay,
that's super bad. And then somebody else hinted that like the next thing we see from Bungie is going to be like another new IP, and it's going to be with I think a mobile partner or something like that. So yeah.
So do we hear? What's that? Go on.
It's funny because one thing I forgot, I did play online with my friends on Xbox, and then we played Halo 5, and we played some co-op and multiplayer, and the whole time I'm like, I kind of rather be playing Destiny. Is what I was thinking.
So, it's a better game.
Well, that kind of ties into the next bit of news I wanted to mention was that Microsoft acquires Obsidian and Exile Entertainment.
So whatever thing, that whole big event they had in Mexico.
Jim, did you watch this show?
No, I did not. I heard it was a shit show, so I didn't watch it.
It was I fell asleep at it, man.
Oh, Jesus. No, I didn't watch it.
It was 2 hours and like 3 announcements.
Yeah. So I mean, acquiring Obsidian is a pretty amazing news. My tie-in for this obviously was Exile as well, but like, will they be looking at Bungie possibly in the future too?
Why? At this point, I don't know why you would want to buy Bungie.
No, yeah. I think Bungie, like, as much as you would get from Bungie, I think they're kind of tainted. To be honest, like,
you don't want them back.
Like seriously, they did Halo for what 10 years. And they moved on to Destiny for what 5 years at this point now. I mean, they've been working on probably 7. Close to 7.
Sure.
So just like 2 decades and almost 2 decades, we'll just call it that. And they've worked on like futuristic sci-fi shooter things, and Halo is pretty much dead in the water at this point.
Yeah.
Like, what would they do? You know, and again, like if you read Jason Schreier's book, which I implore everybody to do, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, they even talk about like how like when they're prototyping games, they're like, well, we only really know how to do first-person shooters because of the end, because you know Microsoft gave them the engine that they've worked on. They're like, well, it has to be a first-person shooter, and they're like, all right, well, you know, we could do a first-person like shooter RPG, you know, medieval fantasy RPG, and they're like, yeah, but all our artists are like super specialized in like sci-fi, so it's like, well, we're making a sci-fi first-person shooter, guys. It's just like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
and they haven't progressed on that at all. I'm just saying, like,
no. It's so funny how similar, especially like, and even on Microsoft's side, Halo 5, like as it is more like Destiny than I thought too. Like there was a time when there's a villainous character that named the Guardian, and I'm like, wait, aren't we all Guardians? I'm like, oh wait, this is the wrong thing. I literally was confused. So it's the same thing. They don't do anything different.
We'll see. I mean, moving back to the news of it was Obsidian in Exile being purchased by Microsoft. Now, big moves for Microsoft. I want to see product before I get excited.
They've been buying studios like crazy. Like they announced a bunch of stuff at E3. And so
they've been buying a lot of studios because they've been buying a lot of studios because they've been closing a lot of studios. It's like I want to see product actually out there. I'm not going to be fooled again by saying this is great. It's a great move. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see product from them. I need to see
the proof in the pudding.
Yes, thank you. That's what I'm looking for. It just seems like you guys have already fooled me once.
Yeah, and you know that's what I feel like, and it's unfortunate because like the Xbox One X like is beautiful. Every time I and Soul Calibur 6, like it's beautiful. I'm like, damn, like this, you know, right now this is better than my gaming PC for a lot of these games, if not all of them. And I'm just like, man, this is amazing. I love what they're doing with that. I love what they're doing with backwards compatibility. I love what they're doing with Game Pass, but I'm just like, they just don't have anything that like grabs me from a first party perspective, which is like, you know, the real like, you know, icing on this cake, you know? So it's just like, cool. Like you gave me the best, you know, base cake, but no frosting. Like how many people are going to eat cake without the frosting?
I mean, you can't like Gears of War for me, obviously is one of my favorite games. Sure. And I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, it's not Last of Us 2. It's not Spider-Man.
Right. It's not God of War.
It's not Horizon.
Right.
So, oh my God.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see what they do with it.
But you know, this is all laying the groundwork for the next system.
It is.
Hopefully, they come out guns a blazing because honestly, like to me, they really need it. They really need to prove people like.
And like, I thought their E3 show was really good. I thought that like it definitely was. Like, if you're an Xbox owner, you have things to get excited about. And like you're saying, Game Pass, absolutely. Like that is going to be what people will be doing in the future. Like I see Nintendo, I see Sony following suit. You know, the next couple of years. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. Let's talk about PlayStation Classic, finally. That was the original segue, wasn't it? So, this thing is a mess, from what I understand. It's not worth the plastic.
$100?
The plastic it's printed in, I guess is the best way to say it. It's like...
So, the big news that came out, in addition to like... Somebody was like, hey, this is the user interface. And it looks god-awful.
It looks horrible.
So
it looks
terrible.
Horrible.
I'm just like... You literally could have just laid them out in a grid or like anything, like even iOS style, like just like boxes.
Give me dots, like or something.
Right. Yeah. And it's just they managed to make it.
It looks like it's like a hacker thing from the 90s or something.
Exactly.
What I was thinking of was like Jurassic Park when the chick is like doing the like I'm gonna lock the doors. This is Unix. Like I know this.
Yeah. But the real killer was like somebody was hacking it, looking into it, and they're using an open source emulator. So basically,
that's what I saw today. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
So it's like not even in house, not built in house,
proprietary,
not proprietary. Like so it's just like, all right, and then some of the games on it apparently are like European versions. Of the games, it's not like the American versions. I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like,
so they basically built like one version of this to distribute in both, I guess. Is that what they want?
I guess, yeah. Outside of Japan, Japan's unique.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I just like this is like, and I'm sorry, like I'm gonna go on a little rant here, but like this is a perfect example. Again, another time where like somebody's like, gotta cash in on another idea that somebody else had, and like we just need to get this to the market. Fuck making a good product. Fuck making a good operating system. Fuck having a good emulator. Fuck having a good game lineup. Just release this holiday, $99. We need to make our money. Like fuck that. Like that's so shitty.
Yeah.
So shitty. In my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, it's the game lineup was bad enough in my opinion, but it's nothing. When I saw the interface, I'm like, oh my god, nope, no, thank you. And then I heard about the emulator today, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I mean, at least do give us a throwback to what the PlayStation interface was originally.
Yeah, I don't understand why they didn't. Whatever. Well, there was no interface; it loaded per disc.
No, I know, but I mean, make it look like that.
I mean, I guess they had the base ROM loading, whatever that like Saturn had, where it was like that music player.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move into our lists. Let's get to our list.
All right, let's do this.
Let's do the list. So,
something fun.
Yeah, let's do something fun. Let's talk about this is going to be our top 5 Marvel games that we've played. It can be any system. I don't even think I listed systems for some of these things because I don't remember what I played them on. Well, I know a couple of them, but we're going to do our top 5 lists in memory of Stan Lee, Stan the man. He, like I said, he lived a fantastic life for up to 95 years old. This is like, brought us so many great stuff, so many great heroes that these are the games that resulted from those heroes, in my opinion. So I'll kick us off.
I'm sure he's in a few of them too.
And he is. Number 5 on my list is Spider-Man 2.
Hey, that's my number 5.
Oh, there we go. Cool.
2004, right?
Yes, 2004 Spider-Man 2. Mm-hmm. Number 5 on my list. It's such a great game. Like what I was hoping that we'd get a Spider-Man game from, like the other games that came out, and we seem to not get up until recently. Mm-hmm. So it had to make my top 5. So that's it. So that's it for me to add for that. Corey, what'd you put on your top 5 for?
Well, I mean, I had that as number 5 as well.
Yeah,
and your 5. It was like one of those things where it's like, wow, I actually feel like Spider-Man for once. Like, it's not some stupid like blocky thing and like
just running around. Like,
they built New York, and you're like, this is video games, man. This is the future. It's like, and it never was eclipsed. Like they couldn't beat it. It's like they hadn't beat it for a long time. So it definitely was one of those things where it was memorable forever. It's like you could spend hours just swinging around and not even playing the game.
It was so cool.
It was my number 5 as well. And I just
good.
Echo your sentiments.
It's on my list. It's a little higher.
Okay, Mike, what was your number 5?
My number 5 is probably going to be a little out there. The X-Men Origins Wolverine game that was tied in with the movie. I heard
that was a really good game, actually.
The game is actually way better than the movie.
It was like they made the game and then they decided to tie the game into the movie.
Yeah, it came late. There's this whole extra section, but it's an M-rated game, and it actually matters. Other than the fact that, I'm Wolverine, I get to kill people. Like, that's not even the part that I like. The part that I like is how he took damage and healed in real time. Like, and you saw it, like, down to, like, a skeleton almost, and it came back. It really was, like, a sort of a video gaming, like, I don't know, hallmark. It was crazy. Like, it still looks cool. It's a Xbox 360 gamer, that generation. And there was even some extra challenges, and you could unlock different skins. You could wear the classic suit, and you were shorter in the classic suit, or you could be Hugh Jackman and be the foot too tall like he is.
Yeah.
And cool. It was just a lot going on in that game, and it was surprisingly good. And it was, I don't know, Wolverine obviously is one of my favorite Marvel characters, and it was just a surprising good game.
Yeah. I always heard it was good. I never played it, but I heard that was a great game. All right, number 4 for me was X-Men Arcade. I just not higher in the list for me because
I'm surprised you didn't start with the Magneto quote, Jim.
Yeah, no, I just feel like it's Welcome to Die needs to be on the list. I just feel like it needs to be on my list, and I may have been biased with my number 3 because of more how recently I played it, but the other 2 were clearly better than this game. It got number 4, and it's because I played it so much in the arcades, and I played it when I was a kid. I used to love this game.
Much 6 for me. I just missed.
Yeah,
I know. Talked about it all fair a little bit.
Yeah,
I might mention it later.
It's such a great game. Every time you see it in arcade now, if you go there, we're older gamers, we have to play it. You know what I mean? Like you have to just pop.
Especially if it's the big one with
right.
There was like six player.
People?
Yeah, I played that recently. So, all right,
no,
Corey.
Arcade has it.
Yes, that's where I played it. Corey, what was your number 4?
My number 4 is Sega Genesis, Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum
Oh
Carnage.
God,
God.
I forgot that game.
That game, I spent so many hours with that game because I have a twin brother, and that game was 2-player. You play one person played Spider-Man, one person played Venom.
Matt and I played that like crazy too.
Yeah, I played.
We know.
Yeah.
I played Separation Anxiety, which I think was like a sequel to that.
Sequel, yeah.
Yeah.
But this was just like this stupid 2D beat 'em up.
Yeah, this was a great beat 'em up game though. Matt and I played this like crazy too. What's such a great game.
The memories.
I forgot all about that game.
Yeah, just having fun with my brother. Just playing as this character, and it's very comic booky. Have the bubbles and everything.
It did.
So
yeah.
It
did play a comic book. Side scroller brawler.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see who goes next. Tony.
Mine was also the arcade game.
Good. Cool.
It's so cool. And again, I think it came out around the time when I was into the X-Men cartoon. So I know the designs were a little bit different. I think because it was a little bit more dated, like it was the comic, stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely more. Yeah, I mean,
it was from before the cartoon.
90s cartoon. Yeah,
it was definitely. I mean, you had Dazzler in an old outfit. I mean, Dazzler, Cyclops in his old outfit.
Wolverine had the brown. Yeah, but I mean, it was just fun. I mean, it wasn't deep or anything, but it was just so cool, like having that many people, especially if you're playing with friends and stuff like that. And just it felt like one of those games where every stage had a boss that was even more ridiculous than the last. The stakes just kept getting higher and higher.
Yep.
You're like, holy shit!
It starts off, I think, with a blob, if I remember right. Yeah. So
nothing stops the blob.
Yeah. So it's amazing how many games copied that arcade style of side scroll, like Simpsons, Turtles.
Yeah.
They all had that same encounter kind of thing. But X-Men was the first one I played like that. So, Mike, what was your number 4?
My number 4 is probably Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Okay.
It's I don't consider it like a super Marvel-y game, even though has more Marvel characters than pretty much anything else. But that's why it's not super high on this list. But it is to me one of the most. One of the better fighting games ever, and it's
absolutely
what I remember. I think playing most consistently on the Dreamcast, actually. And it was just ridiculous to see all those characters together. And it was just fun. And it's the only place where you can match up those specific characters against each other or together, and it was very interesting. And,
it's the only place you could play some of those characters at all.
Some of them are completely obscure and ridiculous, but yeah, it was great.
Blackthorn.
That was my number 3.
Yeah.
That's your number 3. Okay, that made my list as well, but higher. So
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, so did the Spider-Man 2 is actually higher than that for me, but yeah.
So actually, Corey, that's your number 3.
Yep.
So before I do number 3, you can go ahead and just. So yeah, I mean that's the same thing.
Basically the same thing. I just remember playing that in the arcade so much. God,
yes. So many
lined up, put your quarter on, get ready,
get in line,
for the next guy, and
get in line. The quarter hold. That's really where that started for me. So. Yeah.
I mean, and the other ones were good, but this one was the culmination of all those games.
This was the
game.
And
it's it was amazing. The art was fantastic, and just amazing.
Yeah. I put Spider-Man PS4 at number 3 for me. It may be more recent.
Oh
What's
no!
That?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear PS4. I thought because the official name is Marvel Spider-Man.
I wrote it on my list as Marvel Spider-Man, but I just said it.
That might be on my list as well coming up, but I call it Sony Spider-Man.
Yeah. I was worried that I was biased because it was so recent, but the more I thought about it, the more it is the Spider-Man game that we all want. I mean, it is, and the Spider-Man game we need. It's, you swing through the city as Spider-Man, you move like Spider-Man, he quips like Spider-Man. He, I mean, everything about that game, I really
Spider-Man experience.
It is Spider-Man. You are Spider-Man when you play that game. Finally.
This is my number 2, so I'll just talk about it too.
Okay.
It's my 3.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
We can all talk about this right now.
Yeah, but I mean, for everything you just said, Jim, this is just a dream come true. We were just all talking about Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube, Xbox, PS2, and in a lot of ways, even though we had other games the Arkham games and stuff like that, the New York simulation where you're just roaming around freely, just living a day of Spider-Man, something like that. Like that has never been fully realized until 2018, this year, and it's like it's seriously like a dream come true. Like I love that game just so much. Just being able to like, that is a game where like I will just go in it and I'll just like, it's almost therapeutic in a way. And there's actually an article I meant to link you guys in the Discord about real quick. I'll talk about it, about like scientists have done research where like there's an effect where like it's getting to the zone, and they talk about how like a game like Tetris. Because when you get into that zone, like you're like, it's kind of like a Zen-like moment, like where
athletes do it quite often. Athletes do it often.
It happens sometimes in sports. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
there really is an in the zone state. Yes,
and to like a very small degree, but like just I find the swinging in Spider-Man, PS4 like just up here because I'm just like, I'm doing it. I'm going fast. I'm doing all these tricks, even though it doesn't really mean anything. But like, I'm exploring the city and like just like taking everything in. I'm just like, you could do it day, you could do it at night. I'm just like, yeah, this is like an awesome experience.
Oh yeah. And Corey, that's your third game?
No, it's number 2.
Number 2 for you. And
that's my number 3. Although there's some caveats because I have a tie up front, but it's I agree with that. Like the speed of the swinging it really stands out to me. They just did everything to make it go quick, and that you don't really ever lose momentum unless you want to. And to me though, what the modern things is what sort of makes it different to me than older versions of this idea. Just like the modern storytelling, that's what separates it to me. Like that makes it different than like, something that like, this is the modern take of like a modern narrative-based game. You have the bells and whistles of like a great-looking open world, and but it's just great to have like the sort of Sony style storytelling.
Yes, that's
game. So it was cool to see, and that's what I took away from that game.
Yeah, Corey.
Yeah, just your thoughts on the game. To piggyback on the same thing, and we've talked Spider-Man a lot. I know we did a spoiler cast on it too, definitely check that out. But yeah, as far as Marvel games go and capturing a character, this one may have done it the best, like out of any Marvel game, to really capture the comic book character and make you feel as though you are that character, and give you the tools to be that character the way you want to be that character. So. It's a must play for any comic book fan, any gamer, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so accessible. We talked about that too on the Spoilercast stuff. Like, QTEs, like, whatever the puzzle, you can skip that all. You can make it like auto do everything. Like, enjoy the experience. You can set it for like the easy mode where it's
and my favorite Spider-Man costume. Actually, I think that costume is like,
dude, I still love that. I love that costume. Even looking at it now,
yeah.
We were on number 3 though, right?
Yes. Yeah, this was 3.
Okay, so I want to make sure.
Back to your third.
So my number 3 was Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. And while I think maybe the no, I don't think the second one was better. And even though the X-Men character, I just want to make sure even though like I think personally I enjoyed X-Men Legends 2 more.
Yeah, that was
personally because I love X-Men, but just I remember when the 360 came out and our friend Nick Sizeboot got the 360. That was the game he got to
that was it. First game.
Get in.
Yeah.
And we Jim, you were there, right?
Yeah, well, I was there. That's my number 1. I'll reveal this now. This is my number 1. This is my number 1 because of this.
It's 1/3 of my number 1 because I cheated.
No. So this is my number 1 game because of this story. Go on. This story.
The story was so cool. Like the 4-player co-op experience, like it elevated it, the whole package to that.
Takes, like every hero you can think of and throws it into a game.
And I remember like going like, wow, like, this is like a new generation of consoles. Like that was the game that like sold like the 360.
I mean, Nick literally went to Blockbuster and bought the 3. I think he bought it there, or bought the game from there or something. No, we rented it first.
Because the game was...
we rented it first, the game, before we bought the system. So we had to get the system, and then he ended up buying the game. It was like a mess of a day actually to get that thing.
And to this day, I still like imagine Nick like saying "Sweet Christmas" because he was like in the cage and just like running around.
Yeah, that's right. So, and that was my number 1. But are we still in 3s? Corey, did you do your third?
Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom.
Okay. All right. So number 2 was MVC2 for me, just because that one for me is the culmination of a great fighting game and a lot of Marvel heroes. And for me, while the Capcom heroes are fine, that game is made by its Marvel heroes, in my opinion, like the Magneto, Spider-Man.
I don't know if I've ever played a Capcom character in that game.
I mean, there's a lot of great Capcom characters, but like you have Cable, Iron Man, all those here, all the Marvel characters are so good in that game. Sentinel, I mean, such good characters. Silas, I mean, there's so many good characters.
And they have such good like play styles. Like really unique,
So I mean, for me, that was my number 2 game. Corey, what was your 2?
Spider-Man, Marvel, Sony Spider-Man.
Oh, Sony Spider-Man. Okay. Tony?
Mine was Sony
Spider-Man.
And my 2 is the older Spider-Man 2.
No, it's respectable. I mean, all made our list.
To me, I think I spent a little more time on it than I did this newer one. And it was more of an impact to me and my friends. Like we would go over to each other's houses and like we would do loops on the the webbing and stuff like that. We would try to find the places in real New York when we went on like trips there, and it was just a bigger, I think, impact. But to me, it's obviously these games 2 and 3 for me are very similar and good in similar ways. But to me, it just was a little more of an impact for me for Spider-Man 2.
Okay. Yeah, it should be. I mean, it was good. So, all right. Number 1 games, like I said, mine was Ultimate Alliance, and for those reasons that Tony had mentioned with that story, the game's amazing. I don't know how many times I've beaten that game. I can't even tell you. Like, I cannot tell you. Literally, we must have beaten. I don't know how many times we beat it that night. We played through it a few times. So I don't think we slept the whole day.
I don't remember. I think I might have passed out at some point, and like Stevie or somebody else took over, and I just woke up and was like, all right, cool.
And we just rotated through it.
Yeah.
Corey, what was your number 1?
Oh, Ultimate Alliance.
Ultimate Alliance, nice. Tony, your number 1?
Mine is going to be Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Okay.
So it is a little disingenuous in the way that, like, it doesn't really have much in terms of like a storyline or anything like that. The characters are just like, representations, but like that came out, and it was just like the experience because like you slowly like saw it build up where like Capcom was making X-Men game. It's like, all right, that's cool. And then they made like the Marvel superheroes game. Like, all right, that's pretty cool. And it's like, oh, you know what? We're not going to do like a X-Men versus Street Fighter. And you're like, okay, interesting. I'm intrigued. Like, sure, let's go with it. Mm-hmm. And like Marvel vs. Capcom 1, it's like, all right, this is an interesting crossover. And they took like characters like Mega Man and Venom and Strider was in it and stuff like that.
That's right, Strider was in there. Yeah.
They even had these Sis characters that were just like so out there, and you're just like, all right, that's cool. But then they just totally upped the ante with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and it's like, you know what? Here's like almost 30 characters from each side, and we're going deep on the obscure level. Like, Cable at the time, he was popular in the comics, but I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, who's this dude? He has a freaking gun. Like, all right, I'll be him. It's like he's got some like weird metal arm. Like, sure, stuff like that. But like, and just the overall experience of like literally going to any arcade, and it was just like that I've been to. It's like that machine was always crowded. Like you could always find opponents and stuff like that. So it was one of those things that just like it was more the experience than like a Marvel game. But it just has such a awesome personal experience, and just like even like watching Evo up until like a couple years ago when the third game came out, it was still being played very regularly for like a decade. And it's just insane to think that a game.
It's that good.
And the sprites, I mean, like
they hold up.
It's just never, never go out.
They're ageless. They're ageless.
Yeah, and then like I can still remember like even the soundtrack, like the groovy. I don't know how to describe it. Like
works.
Want to take you for a ride? Want to take you for a ride?
It's funny because it reminds me kind of like a Persona, is like recent stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It was like jazzy and like even the blue sea background and all that stuff. Just like that was like to me was like the peak of like 2000 arcade, like. Right before, and then the sad thing is, like, that was, like, just a little bit before the arcade started dying out, so, like, I think it was just, like, this is, like, the final Bravo, like.
Right, it was kind of downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Mike, what was your 1?
Well, the only reason why I did this is because I played all these games recently, and I determined when I did that they each have, like, a certain thing I like, and so I made them all equal. They're kind of the same game though. The X-Men Legends 2 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
You just looked them all in. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard for me to separate them just because they all do something.
The only reason why the Legends game is great, but the Ultimate Alliance has like so many different heroes that's really.
I think Apocalypse though is I thought that better gameplay, but
Really?
the amount of characters you were throwing at its Ultimate Alliance was
Yeah.
just
The
like,
thing is that in the story was real like tight and good in the first game, and it had like decent art. Like there was gear and stuff, but there wasn't that much. Like each character had one piece of special gear you can find that like would like really boost something ridiculously. In X-Men Legends 2, they had like a whole set of gear, so there was like this whole other RPG element and stuff to find. And it added the villains to it. And then, of course, the third game, it took the gear down a lot. There was a lot less of like RPG.
Because they were throwing characters at you instead.
Yeah, and the wider story with like, oh, now I can be a Spider-Man and Iron Man without unlocking him. Like you could unlock him in the second game when you found all the pieces. There was a lot going on in those games, and obviously I've played them a year ago or something. So and they held up really well enough where I was real happy to go through all.
They brought it back out too. Like
yeah,
get them on new systems.
They're definitely like, and I think like Marvel Ultimate Alliance and like these Marvel games, like it was like the pinnacle of just like a Marvel video game experience to me. I would even go back and play them again if I was out of games to play right now because they were that good. And I did them by myself, and they're better played with other people. So there's just a lot there. Then it's accessible from many points, and some of the best games of all time, in my opinion.
It's funny how like 2 was just so bad. Ultimate Alliance 2. I don't know what they did, but they just made it feel so.
Yeah, they dumped it down some more, and they went for graphics instead of like actual.
I thought the first game looked better than the second one, even myself.
No,
really. I just remember it like that. But all right. Let's compile this list then. So we're gonna list you as Ultimate Alliance.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So do we then go with? We had multiples. We had 2 for arcade, X-Men Arcade. 4 for Spider-Man 2, 4 for Spider-Man for PS4, 4 for MVC. We all put Alliance, MVC 2, Spider-Man PS4, and Spider-Man 2 on our lists. My suggestion is X-Men Arcade at 5 because there was a 2 on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Then Spider-Man 2, or these are interchangeable. Spider-Man PS4.
I think Spider-Man PS4 was higher on most of them.
That was my number 2.
Yeah, so
it was just.
But although Marvel's Capcom's your number 1, though.
Well, I'm saying Ultimate Alliance and MVC2. Where are you putting those? Because that was his number 1, my number 2.
Ultimate Alliance is number 1 in 3 ways.
3 of us. So
number 1.
So it should be X. So we're all okay. So it should be X-Men Arcade, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man PS4, MVC2, Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, that should be okay. It could be controversial. I didn't know. I don't want to start it because it could be. I mean, MVC2.
I think MVC2 was in every spot except for it was like 1, it was 2, it was 3, and then it was,
I think it was a 4. I think it was a 4. Yeah, it was a 4 then. So yeah, it moved all over the list. Ultimate Alliance was 3 of us number 1. So okay, so there's your list. So our top 5 Marvel games that we've played all time, any system: X-Men Arcade, Spider-Man 2 on the PS. That was on PS2, right?
PS2.
Yeah.
PS2, GameCube,
and GameCube and Xbox. Spider-Man, the new one, Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and then Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 1. Make sure we know the 1. That's the first one. So there we go. That's your top 5 list for this thing.
Those are good games.
They are some great games. If you haven't played any of them, please check them out. They're actually all, I think, around. Yeah, they're all around. I don't know if you can play Spider-Man 2 right now, though. But I don't know.
Ultimate Alliance, I believe, got the list up on the platform.
Oh, it did. That's right. I forgot about that. All right, they're not all around. Never mind. Sorry, I said that.
Fine. Yep.
So, all right. I guess that's going to wrap up the episode. Thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing. Write us podcast at allingeek.net. Follow us on Twitter, allingeek. Like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, thank you, Stanlee, for everything.
We did this list. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Stanlee, for these games existing. They have brought us so many memories.
And your great narration in the older Spider-Man game.
Yeah. Yep. He talked about every individual character. So, thanks a lot. Excelsior.
Excelsior.
Excelsior.